Hello and welcome to the 50-cent tour of October 2nd, 2013 / 99th Monkey News. Our first article today is an article that Karen Hughes mentioned on Facebook. Nation's governors welcome new Council of Governors appointments. This is from March 2011, but this is the group that Karen Hughes is working with in preparation for the restoration of the Republic, and so that people are prepared for some of the changes that are probably going to be taking place. And I think I've mentioned at other times, it's really interesting to follow Karen Hughes on Facebook. She accepts friend requests, and she posts a lot of very interesting ideas, as does Fritz Springmeier. Fritz Springmeier just about every day writes a note, which is a longer status, and writes about just remarkable, relevant things. And I'm not a huge fan of Facebook, but some of these people are redeeming Facebook in the ways they're using it. And speaking of Facebook, this is kind of a funny video. It's sad, really. Fastest way to get through a Border Patrol checkpoint. And this driver pulls out his Bible and begins to share the gospel with the guard that's at the border. And the guard basically says, I don't have time for this, and waves him through. And this driver just drives through without showing any ID or having really any kind of interaction about safety with the Border Patrol guy. So I will put this link. It might work actually to have this link. If you're already on Facebook, you might be able to find this from this ID for the video. This is also remarkable. The 10th Amendment Center reports new California law rejects NDAA indefinite detention. So, surprise, surprise, even California is beginning to object to some federal regulations and federal edicts, I probably should call them. And there are people who are asking for local California groups, city councils, counties, to back up the state by also enacting their own laws that the NDAA will not be practiced in local areas. So, could something good be happening? Maybe there really is this groundswell of people who do not want to live under tyranny anymore. We have government of the people, by the people, and for the people still, lawfully, and I think that we still can step into that lawful place that we have and say, not on our watch. Here from RT is an article. Google's wide net of data phishing could land it whopping fines. And I thought this was remarkable. I'm not really sure, there's been such a struggle for freedom for these years that I think we're afraid to believe that things could get better. But there's some news that it kind of shows that things may be getting better. Now, could it be a trap to put us off our guard and lull us into complacency? Sure. But as long as we remain faithful and keep fighting the good fight for liberty and justice for all, and of course that is an ideological fight, not a physical, literal fight, I believe that we'll be able to press through some of these issues and come out on the other side better off. Here's another. This is from Daily Finance, and this article is actually from September 25th. J.P. Morgan offers Feds $3 billion to end mortgage probes. What's that about? That's almost an admission of guilt. Isn't that a bribe? And here's another interesting article that shows that the fabric of the deception is beginning to wear through. From Natural News, science utterly abandoned in UN climate change report. 15 years of data selectively ignored. People are becoming aware of this. These lies they're not holding up very well under a little bit more intense scrutiny. And now there are a few articles here that I have about the shutdown and the impact that it's having. You have probably seen some of the photos of the veterans who broke through the lines to get into the Veterans Memorial after traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles to get there, and finding that the memorials on the mall in Washington were barricaded off and entry was denied, which is just, outrageous. So Coyote Blog has a few articles that pertain to that. My plea to stop the White House from closing privately funded, privately operated parks. That's the first one, and it would probably not be a bad idea to shoot off some letters to your House of Reps people and your senators. Let them know how you feel about this, and you can use this as a template. Here's another article from Coyote Blog. PERC case study on private operation of public parks. And another, government closing parks it does not fund or operate. And that was a surprise to me. And the final one that I'll mention, if parks stayed open, no one would notice the government shutdown. That's probably true, and I imagine that is why they are flexing their muscles with this issue of the parks. But regarding the parks, actually, some of them not even being under federal jurisdiction, here's an article from the Washington Examiner. Shutdown Overreach. More guards at World War II Memorial than Benghazi. Park Service closes park it doesn't run. What are these people thinking? This is just astonishing. The fact that they are claiming jurisdiction here, and they really have overreached. And we'll see where all that goes. Paul Craig Roberts has an article today, or yesterday actually. Obamacare is another private sector ripoff of Americans. And I had mentioned that and had a couple of articles about how the Obamacare to some extent is similar to the banker bailout in what actually happens, what it actually achieves. And Paul Craig Roberts just puts it a lot more succinctly as well as elegantly. And this is a helpful article if you're talking to people about these issues, or if you have questions yourself. They'll probably be answered by Paul Craig Roberts. And for our good news of the day, here from Natural News, natural solutions for irritable bowel syndrome. The best therapies for it definitely are the natural therapies. So here are some suggestions. And with all the stress that most of us are feeling with so many unusual things taking place, it's probably no wonder if some people do develop some stress-related illnesses like IBS. If you have other stress-related illnesses, from Green Med Info, Black Seed, the remedy for everything but death. And this is a very interesting article. Here are some of the ailments for which black seed is a remedy. For high blood pressure, for cell damage, for muscle cramps, for viruses, for asthma. Here's it's anti-diabetic. It's liver protecting and insulin sensitizing, which is also a help with diabetes. Interferon inducer. It protects your kidneys, and tumor necrosis factor alpha inhibitor. If you're not dead, but you're not feeling well, because, it's not a remedy for death, according to the title here, but virtually anything else, you might want to look into black seed. And with that, we would like to thank you for joining us for today's news, and to remind you that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you love one another, take care, and insist on liberty.